Hi everyone, so in the last episode we broke down the fundamentals of smart objects and built a fully generic system. Our NPC could locate the treasure chest, claim it, run the smart object behavior definition, finish the interaction, release the smart object, and smoothly return to its original state tree. In this episode we're taking the foundations further. We're adding the level sequence interaction directly into the smart object state tree. So by the end of this episode, our enemy can pick up find a smart object, pick up the weapon, and go on to do the next task. And here's the really cool part. We're making it so that the smart object is unavailable whenever the player is overlapping the treasure chest, preventing the enemy from claiming it at the wrong time. So let's jump right into Unreal. Now, if you haven't, so I'm going to create the interaction part. So let's add a state tree, and I'm going to put child state. I'm going to call this interaction sequence. Actually, I'm going to call it play interaction sequence. Now, if you looked at previous, sorry, let's be in there. Yeah. If you looked at my previous video, you know I've basically created this function here. Well, this event here, which plays our interaction sequence, changes the location of it so it matches the treasure chest's location, and then we bind the two actors onto it that we need. And I'm going to use this, so I'm not going to create another one. Now most people will use the play montage method, and if I do get time, I'll quickly will show it, but I did use this, so I'm going to try and use it this way. Now one thing I will need to add to make this viable is I will need to add one event dispatcher, and I'm going to call this on sequence finished, and I'm gonna literally just call it on, and actually so I'm going to just name it on inter, and then just take out the, and actually that I say that, but I don't want to call it on begin play. I want to call it on sequence player, bind event on finished. Yep. So I'm going to take this here, and then just create a new event, custom event, which is on level sequence finished, which will literally just call this event dispatcher. Now we're going to first of all create a state tree task, and now this is based on my system, but you can use the montage method because I know most people here will prefer to use montages rather than this way. So yeah, play SO interaction sequence, and on enter state. Now this is going to have sorry, wrong thing. It's going to have a couple of variables, so treasure chest, that's going to be BP SO treasure chest, And again, this is a context. I'm going to change this to enemy ref and BP enemy base, and again this is going to be a context character. So right now in our database we already have this bind play function, and we also have this one here. But before we do this, we want to get our treasure chest, bind event on sequence interaction sequence finish, and just going to custom event level sequence finished, and we're just here going to do one thing, which is finish task, and then we can call. Now what that means is, because of the way we've done it, and if this works, that is, when this function is called, when this state tree event happens, it will go in, it will call this event, it will create this sequence player, change its location, bind our two characters to it, which is the treasure chest and the character. Then it will bind our finish task event, and then finally it will play it. So let's try that. And actually, before we do that, I'm going to add another state in there, and I'm going to call this rotate NPC, which is going to be state blueprint task STT rotate NPC. Now I'm going to call this enemy ref, and then BP enemy base. Now you may be tempted to use the context so I'm going to use the context binding here. Now you could use the context binding and get it for the treasure chest, but I want these state tree tasks to be dynamic as possible, so I'm going to instead just do an actor, and I'm going to name it an image. So actor to face, and it's going to be an actor. Now unfortunately in UE6 they're depreciating the actor system, so this won't work in UE6, but I'm not accepting it, so that's that. So enter state, get enemy ref, get location, get actor location, duplicate it, and I'm just going to name it actor to face. I'm going to do the find look at rotation, and one thing I found, and not this, is I'm going to split this out, and I only want to rotate on the Z. I don't want to rotate the X and down. Technically speaking, if the character's like this, technically it should be the pointing that way, but we just want to face that way, so we're not going to, we don't want to get the X and Y, we'll keep the X and Y same. So get actor, get actor rotation, and set actor rotation, Y and Z, and link it up to our enter state, and finish task. So let's just rotate here. Now we want to first, let's add the task in, rotate NPC, and we're going to have to bind this, so actor to face will be smart object actor, which is the treasure chest. This one here, it will just be the play interaction sequence, and it's already bind for us. Now the transition rule, so we just, when this state is on completed, let's go to the play interaction. When this is completed, now we can do if it fails. Okay, let's do it like this. If it's succeeded, then we go to the next selectable state. If it's failed, we go up one. So go to rotate NPC, and it will try, basically it'll go there and it'll try again. So it's either going down or it's going up, and I'm going to change this delay to 2 seconds. I don't want it to run forever. Oh, yep, so there's a finished task. Or remember, every task needs a finished task. Don't ever forget the finished task. So let's just move him further away. So if this now works, we should be able to claim a smart object, go to it, play the interaction sequence, get a weapon, and then bugger off. So it's going to run. Yep, he's playing our interaction sequence. And yep, he's off there, and he's back to the original tree. So yeah, that's what we wanted, and that's done. Now, before we go to smart object, like go on to the state tree part, I'm gonna get rid of these just to highlight this point. And I'm just going to move this guy here. Now, technically, there's two problems right now. The first is that if, in my game at least, I don't want it so that, let's say the player's here, he might be interacting or about to interact. I don't want this NPC to claim this smart object. And if we just start here, you will see it's going to try and push you out and try and it will just pause. So I don't want him to pick this one if he's overriding it. Secondly, I've got the state tree ended. Secondly, he could reclaim this smart object, and so once the chest is open, that's it. The smart object part ends, and it can no longer be accessed. And thirdly, actually, and I'm gonna move this out the way, there is no collision on the treasure chest. Because we discussed, well, I told you why we weren't going to have collision, and I'm going to show you now. So hopefully he'll pick the furthest one away. If he doesn't, then I'll just go there. Okay, so we just need to nope, go for the further one. Yeah, see, he runs across, so we haven't got collision there. So let's solve these three problems. So the first of all, I'm going to P and just show you. So right now there is no collision here whatsoever. And to be fair, they're a bit floaty, these ones. So let's add collision to it. Now, one thing you have to be clear, if the smart object slot is not accessible, then it can't be claimed. So I'm going to add so that's why I turn collision off on this object off, because it will interfere it. But then I'm going to add a box collision, and I'm going to call this block box. And so I'm just going to rename this one overlap box, so it's clear. Now block box, I'm going to just make the line thickness 3, just so I can see it. And I'm going to increase the Y. I'm going to move it up, just so it's, there. And I'm going to, sorry, no, this is the wrong one, so yep. There, and then make it about that. And I'm going to change the collision on this to block or character cannot step on it. So if we now look here, you can see, now here's exactly the problem. So it's literally borderline, and I'm just going to move this a bit further down, just so it's touching the floor. Yeah. Now, this is going to really depend on you. Like, this one's kind of fine. I'm just gonna, sorry, I've got it on 10, and I'm going to switch it over to 1. Yeah. Now, you need to ask yourself how comfortable you feel these collision box being, because if I'm being honest, I don't like how close they are. And sorry, I'm just going to change the angle here. Yep, okay, that's fine. I'm going to make this collision box a bit smaller, because if it can't be accessed, if it's overlapping, then that's it. Smart object won't work. So yeah, that's better for me. I like that one now. Still close, but good enough. I'm gonna make it a bit less wider as well. It was finding the right balance, essentially, where this is, you block off this section, but these smart objects are okay. I'm happy with that, and I'm just going to just check. Yep, so he can access that one. Yep, that's fine. That's what we wanted to see. Yeah, that's not a problem. Okay, so that's the first part. Now the second part, what was it? It was making sure that if the player is here, so if the player is overlapping the overlap box, it can't be accessed. Now, what I'm going to do is I'm going to open up the smart object definition. Now we can add one more precondition. So what a precondition does is basically it checks does this object meet the requirement for it to be searchable? If it does, then it will be found. So let's go here, and I'm going to add it if, well, it will always be an if, and it always has to be true or false. And I'm going to do match runtime object. I think it's slot tag object tags, but I may be wrong, and it might be slot tags. And I'm just going to do a new one, or tags match, exact match. I'm literally going to create a new one called player dot inside and default ini, and I'm just going to do another one, which is player dot outside. And if the player is outside, then we if the player is outside of this overlap box, and it has the overlap this tag, it basically means it's able to search for them. So and then I'm going to come to my BP treasure chest and label this sequence interaction sequence. Now we already have because of our interface, we have this function here which basically is when the player is already inside the box and when they're outside the box. So let's add a, let's make this bigger, let's add a new event, custom event. I'm gonna call it player inside. So I'm just gonna do is player inside. Now it's going to get smart object subsystem. Yep, and we're going to add tag to instance. Yep, and we're going to get our smart object, and now the handle, so you can't directly access it, we have to get if you click on the smart object, there is this registered handle, and that's what we want. So get the registered handle, and now that should work. Yep. Now if the player, okay, so I'm gonna make it into a select statement. So move this here just for a second, sorry. So make and I'm going to have I'm gonna make it into a branch. So if it's true, so if the player is inside it, they want to give it the player inside tag, and we also want to remove tag from instance, and it's literally same thing. And then we're going to get the player outside tag. So we just want to switch them around essentially. And yep, I'm just gonna move this out the way because this is to do with our level sequence. But yeah, so yeah, I'm just gonna make this a little bit clearer. Yep. And then if it's false, then we essentially just do this side, but just change it around. So this one would be player outside and player, remove player inside. Now then we're going to just come here and just get our player inside and change it to true. And I'm just going to change this to player inside is false. And most importantly, because this is a runtime track, we need to have it on begin play, otherwise it needs to register first. So I'm just gonna come here and I'm just gonna say player inside is false. And let me just double check. So true, false, yep, that's fine. So now let's move this guy further away. And I'm just for the time being, and this is because what's going to happen on begin play, he's going to claim it before I can even reach it. So I'm just going to get the AI controller, go to the event graph, and I'm just going to get this into activate. Let me just check start. Yeah, sorry, start logic, not activate. And I'm just going to create an event called custom event start logic state true. And I'm going to turn this AI off for a second. Start logic automatic, and this is just for debugging. You would not have this in the game, and we'll be covering how to do AI proper states in the next one. So let me get BP third. Yeah, so this is for interact. Let's go to another one, debug key, and just key, I guess. Get all actors of class, and I'm going to call it AIC enemy, and then I'm going to call for each start logic state tree. And this is just a real quick fix to do in the level. So let's come here. I'm just going to make it bigger. Oh, I'm sorry, we have 3 here, so it'll probably claim the other 2. So let's just force it out so there's only 1 that can potentially claim. Yep. Now, just to double check first of all, this plus T, yep, he does what he's supposed to, and he closes it and then opens it. That's fine. Yep. Now let's just check. Let's now go over there. So we now are interacting with it. We press T. Okay, so that doesn't work. It's blocking. This is exactly what's not supposed to happen. Okay. So, I'm gonna be honest with you, I haven't really changed anything, but I found, honestly, it was just my laptop overheated, and I let it cool down a bit, read it again, and for some reason it didn't like me duplicating these literal game to play tags. When I deleted them, re-put them in, it solved it. And I think in SOD I accidentally deleted the user tag filter, so it should be all exact smart object treasure chest, and the tag query should be here is all tags except match player outside. So now that I've done that, and I've got just the same thing, make literal tags, add tag to this, remove tag from instance, and so on, it's working. And so yeah, sometimes just make sure your laptop doesn't overheat. And if I come here, press T, no smart object found because we're here, it runs over, and comes to it, and he picks it up, and so on. Now, I want to make one thing clear. So we're here right now. There is still going to be one issue, and this is something that we can't solve, but he can run here, and then I can come here, and then he's just going to try and stop it. So remember, that will always still just happen. So yeah, that's if your player claims it and then he runs, that's just what it is. Okay, now finally, so we want to turn this off completely when the smart object is done. Now, in our level sequence, we have an event called TC open. So let me just get my level sequence up. So level sequence baked, and I'm gonna open the director. Sorry, wrong one. Yep. Open, yeah. So we have disable smart object at the end, and literally just at the end we're going to disable smart. Now you can bind on finish, but I wanted to do it so it stops the smart object at the end. And actually, to be fair, I don't think it should be at the end. So let me just check this is the right one. Yep, disable. We can disable the smart object from about here onwards, just because, you know, we've done it. And all this does is, once that event hit, it goes to TC opened. So this is telling it that now it's opened completely. Don't interact and don't do anything. So it's very simple. We get smart object, get the registered handle, get smart object subsystem, smart object subsystem, set slot enabled, and we're going to get all slots, and then just for each loop. Now there's only one slot, but might as well do it properly. So for each, come here, and enabled is going to be false. And yeah, that's pretty much it. So once that is done, and this will trigger on when we open it as well, when the player opens it. So if I've done this right, I'm gonna claim the event, and sorry, I'm gonna add the little timer thing to get it back. Didn't put it in debugging. Now, if I come here, it shouldn't be able to claim. Yep, no smart object it can be found because we've disabled the slot. And that will be for if any of them open up or not. So yeah, but yeah, that pretty much covers it. I'm just going to put this back in while I was debugging, and congratulations, we have fully utilized our smart object, and now the NPC can find a treasure chest, run towards it, grab a weapon, and that's the initial part of the smart object that's done. And most importantly, if the player is overlapping the smart object, then we ignore that treasure chest. In the next episode onwards, we'll be creating the enemy AI behavior using state trees, and we're essentially moving on. We're finished with the smart object part, and we're moving on to the enemy's attack functionalities. Remember, this is just my way of utilizing the smart objects, not necessarily the right way. See you in the next one.